Drew KB with you on this Friday in the good land. Oh, baby, you know what that music means. Time for us to talk with Aaron Nagler, CheeseheadTV.com. And he's brought to us by our friends at Miller Lite, Orthopedic Associates. There is a difference, and Rogers Behavioral Health. Nags, you've had time to sleep, rewatch the tape, listen to the coach the day after. How are you doing?
Man, I'm burning that tape, I'll tell you that. You know what they say. You know what they say. It's never as bad as it feels the next day. Well, it was pretty bad. And I don't think there's much you can glean from going too intensively over that tape other than the Packers got punched in the mouth by a tougher team. They need to man up next time because they will see teams like that again. And at this point, you can't come away from these Lions games with any other conclusion that Dan Campbell owns Matt LaFleur at the moment.
They are the better team, right? It's just
zero doubt.
I was
zero question.
Telling these boys before, it's a bit of a paradigm shift. People, it's a year of transition. Packers are no longer the hunted. They have to be the hunter. They have to be the aggressive, little dog that yaps at your pant leg.
I mean, they're young. They got that going. But
yes.
Yeah, they're not. No one's afraid to play the Packers. There's zero doubt about that. I mean, they have to answer the bell though, physically wise. I mean,
and the idea that you're just going to roll the balls out and beat the Lions like you did for mostly for 30 years, those days are gone.
Long gone.
Because the Lions are now, like you said, they're much better at this.
They're a legit team, man. You talk about a really well-coached physical football team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
They went in and beat Kansas City on opening night on their banner night and then didn't flinch, and they weren't scared to come into Lambeau because they just won there in January too.
Yep.
It's a new era.
Yes, sir.
Learned a couple of things. I learned a couple of things last night that I was not aware. Number one, I was not aware that Aiden Hutchinson was that good. I mean, he is good.
Oh, yeah. He should have gone first overall.
The other thing you could glean from that, and taking the Packers' run defense, putting that aside, is that you realize how bad the Bears coaching is, because David Montgomery sure looked good, didn't he?
Oh, running with purpose, and another physical aspect of the football game, right? I mean, look at how he dragged defenders last night. Absolutely buying into that mentality that Dan Campbell has kind of, instituted in Detroit as far as it really permeates his entire squad. And you have got to buckle your chin strap when you're playing the Lions, and really didn't feel like the Packers did at all last night.
Now, I would say this, that as Packers fans, that we came into this year with guarded optimism. They go into this game at 2-1, and maybe we were getting a little too excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe we were just getting a little bit too excited, thinking, well, maybe everything is going to be fine. And we just have to kind of pump the brakes and go, it's going to be a long season. There are going to be ups. There are going to be downs. There are going to be surprises and disappointments, and just ride it out and enjoy it.
The best thing I heard to describe the situation right now was last night. And I don't remember where because it was such a flood. But the Packers you can say they're legitimately a play away from being 3-1, and they're a play away from being 1-3.
No question, absolutely. And look,
if Groupie makes that field goal, that's a loss.
That's
in
a
Atlanta,
loss.
if they just get a stop, that's a win.
Right.
So it's like they're on the razor's edge, and that's the roller coaster we're riding this year.
Look, I think Andy Herman, my colleague at Cheesehead TV and Pack a Day Podcast, put it perfectly on Twitter a little bit ago. Heading into the year, what did we think this was going to be? A very young team that we thought 4 games into the season would most likely be sitting there at 2-2. Now, I don't know where those wins and losses were coming prior to the season, but I mean, we've seen some highs, we've seen some lows. The most important thing so far this season has been Jordan Love's kind of apparent, I'm not going to say mastery, but grasp of the offense and his ability to stick in there, especially last night with constant pressure in his face. You can quibble about the completion percentage, you can quibble with some of the misses, and there's no doubt there's room to grow there. There's a lot of work yet to do with Jordan Love. But man, that kid stood in the fire and made throw after throw, even though they couldn't protect him to save their life. I mean, there was one play where they go max protect, and he's hit within 3 seconds. That's absurd. And there's a great play where he throws to Watson over the middle of the field where he's got, a defensive lineman on a stunt coming right in his grill. And we've seen plenty of young quarterbacks. Hell, we've seen some veteran quarterbacks who, in that instance, will just eat it, fall on the ground, fade away. He stood in there and delivered a strike to Christian Watson downfield, knowing he was going to get hit. That's a guy you can win with. And there's a lot of work to do with him. But, man, it really looks like they found a player there. I'm not saying he's going to be on the level of a Brett Favre or an Aaron Rodgers, but, man, you can win football games with Jordan Love. And, hell, that was one of the more important things we needed to learn throughout this season and really build upon and hopefully develop a young quarterback.
There was even a slight bit of hope when you went into the second half after they scored the 2 touchdowns.
No doubt. No question.
There was a little bit of hope. But one thing you can chalk it up to immaturity and youth. But I'm not giving Joe Barry a pass at all. At all.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that's, good point, KB. We're talking with Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV. On the offensive side, turns out Bach is done for the season. That was the first gut punch
That's
yesterday.
a blow.
Then came the game, which was arguably worse.
Yes.
But
no doubt.
you had you had him out, Elton out, 2 your all pro guys on the left side gone. And then you had 2 guys that turns out Zach Tom and John Runyon both really compromised and hobbled and just getting overwhelmed. Okay, that side of it. But when guys are hurt on the defensive side, Jair's out again. There's an all pro guy. Devondre Campbell, kind of the glue guy, he's gone. When guys are hurt, other guys got to step up. It's the NFL mantra, next man up. I'm looking at the stat sheet after the game. First of all, the first quarter, Rasul Douglas was so bad he set a tone for the entire operation.
Oh, is he horrible?
And I look at the stat sheet afterwards, and like Rashawn Gary didn't have a tackle. Kenny Clark had 1 tackle. Those guys disappeared. Like those are the guys you're counting on, and they disappeared.
Yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you have a physical team that can run the football, though. You know what I mean? Like, you can dictate. And look, those guys, yes, you want them to show up and all that. I don't think Rasul was as bad as maybe you are thinking and or remembering. Yes, he got taken advantage of, certainly on the touchdown. He had the one play where they hit the tight end. He's in good position there. It's good coverage. The tight end just makes a play, and it's a really good throw from Goff. Where it gets concerning, in my eyes, is all of the yards after contact Detroit had. I mean, you talk about a team, again, and I'm not just talking about the running backs, the tight ends, the receivers, anybody with a football in their hand in Detroit, in a Detroit uniform last night, upon initial contact, almost always got 3 or 4 more yards after they were hit initially. You can't live like that. As a defense, you're completely giving them free yardage and letting their play caller kind of live in a wonder world where if you're in 2nd and 3 the whole night, that is a dream for an offensive coordinator. And that's where the Lions were living last night, mostly because the Packers couldn't get Lions ball carriers stopped when they hit them.
That is absolutely true. So the paradigm has shifted. Now, Nags, as we look ahead, I got to ask you this because you're the carry the G guy. You're the
I am indeed.
guy.
Yes, sir.
And this is going to be probably a show. The rest of our show will be discussing this, but
oh boy,
the amount of Honolulu blue in the stands last night.
Oh, here we go.
As people
Here we go.
The folks are upset about the amount. Like, how could Packers fans sell their tickets to Lions fans?
I have a very logical explanation for this.
What's that?
Hashtag capitalism.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hashtag capitalism. Think about it, right? You lose Aaron Rodgers. You have a bad year last year. I'm a season ticket holder. There's 87,000 people on the list. I am not going to give up my season tickets yet. I'm not really sure about the prospects of this team moving forward. Ergo, I'm going to keep my tickets, but I'm going to sell them to a broker. Okay. And I'm not going to commit to the entire season. You know, the brokers sell them to whoever wants them and whoever's going to pay the price. And if they happen to wear Honolulu blue, they happen to wear Honolulu blue. There's nothing that you can do about that. And then on top of it, it's like, let the Lions come. You know, if it ends up being a problem over time, that's fine. But they're kind of like the guy who's got the hot new girlfriend and they're just showing her off. But eventually she's going to let him down too. Okay.
That's an amazing explanation.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Nags, where are
How about
you
that?
As a guy with a finger on the pulse of the fan base,
Right.
Where are you on this?
Well, I know it's just bad optics, right? And that's what I think people emotionally respond to is this sea of blue, especially after the game is over and they've whooped your butt and all you see is a sea of Lions fans there cheering on Thursday Night Football, the Amazon stuff. Like, I get it. It's frustrating, right? But man, we don't complain when Packers fans take over other stadiums. Like the Packers go anywhere. I mean, literally anywhere, and take over stadiums. I mean, the Steelers fan base is the same way. Like, shout out to Lions fans, man. They have been putrid for decades. Now they're finally good. So yeah, their fans are traveling.
Yes.
That's
And
all.
they
And
have to stay, anything to get out of Detroit, for God's sake.
I will just say this. I know last night the gold package was a lightning rod as far as because of the fact that it was a gold package game and there were all these Lions fans. I don't think gold package had much to do with it. I do not doubt for a moment there were certainly gold package members who it's a night game. I don't want to make the drive afterwards. I'm going to sell my tickets. Like that happens. That's going to happen in a regular package game. Like I'm not killing gold package fans for that. But gold package people, you're still soft. Yeah, you're still the worst.
Oh, I love
you
it.
still don't
That's
bring
a
it.
classic.
You still don't bring it. I mean, you got to prove otherwise.
Hey,
Until you do, you're going to get made fun of. And there is no more sensitive person on God's green earth than a gold package member.
They were bringing it when they appropriately booed the team off the field at halftime. They were bringing it.
Yeah, that's it. That was their claim to fame last night. Well done, guys.
Well, and they always said that they were harsher anyway. And the gold pack that whole thing, gold package. I mean, I don't buy into that anymore because so many people sell their tickets. I know.
Yeah,
people who have
look,
gold and green that sell their entire package
Correct.
and just keep the tickets in the family, and they sell them to a broker at the beginning. So the idea that people were willingly handing their tickets over to people from Dearborn is folly, right?
No.
That's
mostly
the way the
mostly.
system works.
But yeah, that's again, I'm not killing gold package members for that. Like I got millions of other things I can kill gold package members for.
You know what's more embarrassing than having enemy fans come in like the Cubs are going to do this weekend and have historically? You know what's more embarrassing than that? Having empty seats like a lot of stadiums do.
This is true.
Yeah. And there are tons of them that do.
With enemy fans.
Hey, you know what they do?
They
spend money. They spend money on concessions. They spend money at Titletown. They spend money, all that money that the Packers get to keep because it's local and they don't have to share it with the rest of the league. I'm fine with it.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Well, okay. Yes, they do, and that's all fine.
I'll take their money.
But we're rationalizing a bit. But to Drew's point, you look at Tampa Bay, who was averaging 12,000 people, and they were in a baseball playoff run. Right?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. We just have to pump the brakes. Now, here's a question that I had for you, Nags, because I saw this, that the offense, and this is this week and the week prior.
Right.
And even to a degree when they did it with Aaron Rodgers, the offense seems to run when it's in tempo, when it's up tempo.
Yeah, the 2 minute
right
up tempo.
And Jordan Love has performed better in that. When they're running it fast, and we all often saw when they went bang 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 with Aaron Rodgers, it ran better. It's when you sit back and overthink things that they were getting in trouble.
I think there's something to that. However, and as I know Matt was asked about it last night, and he's right. At some point we got to be able to run an offense. Like you can't go 2 minute a whole game. It's just impossible. However, it works as a change of pace or when you are in desperation mode. There's zero doubt about it. The problem is just the protection up front made everything impossible. It made everything impossible last night. And that's why, look, these guys have forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. So I don't pretend to sit here and presume to tell them that like the approach is wrong because they've got reasons, right? They certainly look there at the tape and all the numbers and they come up with a plan. But man, you couldn't block this front last year in January with David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins. Now you go into this game last night without both of those gentlemen, and you think your approach needs to be we're going to chuck it and we're going to throw it and we're going to try to push the ball downfield from the get-go? That blew my mind. Like, I don't get the reasoning behind that at all. Well, again, they know more than I do, but that makes zero sense to me.
Does Dan Campbell, does he go Ditka? Do they hit in practice and in camp? Do they tackle it to the ground? Because they are tougher than most teams.
Yeah, I don't know about tackle to the ground, but they certainly have a physicality to them that reflects their head
They're certainly
coach.
better with the tires than the donuts,
right? The donuts. Those donuts must be made out of steel in Detroit rather than whatever they're made out of in Green Bay.
Even the mindset, Aaron Jones coming off a hamstring that bit him in Chicago on that touchdown run. 5 carries. David Montgomery was questionable with a thigh bruise, 32 carries, 100 yards.
But this is my frustration,
I
right?
mean,
I'm glad you brought that up
he's
because how many times have we heard LaFleur and hell, even McCarthy before him? They always say, "What is their?" They get this question almost every time a major player is injured. Well, do you hold him out if like you want to like look to the next game or whatever, or is he? And their answer is almost always, if you're out there, you're good to go and you should play. And like if you're between the white lines, you're like we're not going to put a guy up and put him in danger. So if he's dressed, why isn't he being utilized? And if he's like you're worried about his hamstring, why is he dressed?
They're both.
These are the things that
count.
drive me nuts. The pitch count thing is ludicrous to me. If he's good enough to play football, let him play football. If he's not, he shouldn't be playing.
I'm with you. And here's one for you, Negs. Billy and I are driving up to the game last night, and we were talking about it, and like, yeah, if Bakhtiari doesn't play tonight, he ain't playing. Like, they might as well just put him on IR. Like, if he doesn't play, and then we within like 10
what you're saying
minutes,
is you spoke it into existence, is what you're saying.
We kind of did. We kind of did. But we got 30 seconds left. What's your take on that? Will we ever see him play again? This is precarious.
I doubt it. Not in Green Bay. I think he'll play next year, probably someplace else.
For a minimum somewhere, and because who's going to give him a deal coming up?
Someone will pay him. Someone will pay him. They'll give him a physical and they'll pay him, no doubt.
All right. Well, I guess Rodgers can pull some strings and get him in.
It's entirely possible. We'll see.
Nags, hey,
all right.
Throw back some Drew and KB bourbon, Nags.
Way ahead of you, buddy.
Put a smile on that face, mister.
Absolutely.
There is your
Nags,
dagger.
have a great weekend. We will talk to you on Monday, my friend.
Talk to you Monday. Have a good weekend, boys.
Thanks, Nags.
All right. Aaron Nagler, Cheese.